Hey everyone, welcome back to another tier list. So today I'm going to do one of my favorite directors that I've been waiting to do this video for, well, pretty much since I started these tier lists, but I've been holding off until I got to see his latest film. So it's obviously Wes Anderson. He's a very unique visual director. If you've seen any of his films, pretty much after Bottle Rocket, you'll recognize his visual style straight away. He's very symmetrical, he's very colourful, he has a dark sense of humour that's throughout pretty much all his films. He uses a lot of the same actors and things like that, and just has a very unique style, which is something I really like about him. So yeah, I recently saw Asteroid City, his new film, so I just wanted to wait until I'd seen that to start this list. So now that I've seen them all, I will rank them on this list and talk about them a bit. So this one, they're all in order from when they came out. So starting off with his first film, Bottle Rocket from 1996. This is probably the least Wes Anderson-y kind of film. It's a good kind of just small budget first film about a couple of buddies who are not very smart and they're trying to pull off this heist and everything. And it's a pretty decent film for a first movie. I actually own it on Blu-ray, and yeah, I rewatched it recently and enjoyed it quite a bit. I think it's a solid B tier film. I don't think it's great, but I don't think it's bad at all. It is enjoyable and a fun movie. I really like Owen and Luke Wilson in the film, and the relationship between Luke Wilson and the girl who's called Inez, I think, from the hotel. I think that's probably the best aspect about the film. But it definitely does have some of Wes Anderson's quirks. Obviously, he's using the Wilson brothers here. It's a comedy film. It's a little bit strange and bizarre, but it definitely doesn't really have his visual style that he's really well known for yet. But that really came in with his next film, Rushmore, and this is a great film. This is easily an S tier film. If you'd have asked me that about a year ago, I probably would have said it was like a C or a D tier, because I saw it the first time maybe 10 years ago and wasn't really a fan at all. But recently rewatched it a couple of times actually within the last 6 months, and each time I've just like loved it more and more. It's like really grown on me to be one of my favorite Anderson films. And this film is really where his kind of style and everything comes in. You've got more of his regulars that he'd be known to work with, like Jason Schwartzman and Bill Murray, who started in this film. And I think it's Jason Schwartzman's first film role as well. He's really good here. The main reason I didn't like it originally was actually because of him as a character, his character Max. He's a pretty unlikable character, but actually, after I've rewatched it a few times, I've come around to it a lot more, especially Bill Murray in this film. I think he's probably my favourite part about the movie. He's really funny here. So yeah, it's an S tier film for me. Next up, we have The Royal Tenenbaums. This is another film that people would most likely put in the S or A tier. I do like this film quite a bit, however, probably not as much as most people do. I think it's solid, and I'm going to put it in the B tier at the top, because it is a very good movie. It definitely has his style. It expands again on his characters, and it's more of an ensemble cast, which he'd become known for more recently. But you've got, Gene Hackman, Owen Wilson and Luke Wilson, Bill Murray, Ben Stiller, Gwyneth Paltrow, Danny Glover, Angelique Houston. So a lot of people in this film and a lot of regulars that he would go on to work with. It's another thing where he kind of mixes humor and sadness, or what's the word? It's just melancholic kind of, and a lot of his films kind of, especially more recently, delve into that, and this is kind of where that started. I think like it feels a bit more apparent here, but his style's coming in a bit more here as well. Like he's using the symmetrical shots, a lot of the pans and the whip framing weights and stuff that he does here with the way the camera moves and everything, and it's really cool. But yeah, I just don't think I love it like most people do, but yeah, it is good. Next we have probably a divisive opinion, but I really love this film, and that's The Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou. It's actually one of my favorite Anderson films, so I'm going to put it up in the S tier. I think it's just a really fun film, and it's like this. It's got this great sense of, like a group of people going on this adventure underwater to find this shark and everything. But it's just got some great characters, some really funny moments. It's also quite a melancholic kind of film, but Bill Murray's great here. Owen Wilson's great. Jeff Goldblum, Willem Dafoe is really funny in this film. I love the visual style. I love the music. It's probably I think it's just really funny. Like it's super underrated. Most people have it at the bottom of their Anderson tier lists and rankings, but to be honest, I love this film. It's really, really funny. It looks fantastic, and as I said, the music's great, the cast is great. Like, I can't really fault it. So yeah, if you haven't checked that one out yet, definitely see it. The next one is the Darjeeling Limited, and this is another one like Rushmore that I wasn't a fan of the first time. However, I did recently rewatch it, and I actually came around to it quite a bit. Um, so yeah, I actually enjoyed this film enough to put on the B tier. I'm going to put it between Royal Tenenbaums and Bottle Rocket. I think it's actually a pretty fun movie, and I really like the three brothers relationship in the film. It's about three brothers on a train going to see their mother after their fathers died, and I think like what I liked about it most was the three brothers and just their camaraderie and their relationship, and that like I'm one of three brothers, and so I could kind of relate a little bit. And yeah, it had his style and everything like that, and it was just unique because it was all set on a train. So the way he was able to film his style, but in that limited space, was pretty cool. And yeah, you've got Owen Wilson, Adrian Brody, and Jason Schwartzman, so a lot of regulars back in this film too. So yeah, it's actually pretty good. Again, that's one I probably would have had in like the D tier or something originally. Next, we have Fantastic Mr. Fox, and it is a fantastic film, and that's another S tier film in my opinion. This is the first time Wes Anderson's gone into like claymation or animation of any sort, as far as a feature-length film goes, and it's really clever. It's really fun. It's really unique. It's him doing Roald Dahl and all that, and that's pretty cool. But it really suits his style as well, like even going into animation, like it's really clever and really funny, and it looks really beautiful as well, like the way it's shot. And it's another film that I've always liked this movie, but every time I watch it I like it even more. And so it's a solid S tier film, but I still like The Life Aquatic a bit more than this. But yeah, the voice cast is great as well, George Clooney and Meryl Streep and a lot of his other regulars as well. Yeah, and everything about it's really great, like soundtrack and humor and all that he kind of mixes his style humor in with the story, which is cool. Next up, we have Moonrise Kingdom from 2012. This was another one that I think this was the first Wes Anderson film I saw when it came out, and I loved the style of it back then, but I didn't really like the film as a whole. I thought it was just okay. But again, it's another one I've rewatched over the last few years a few times, and again have come to love, or really like at least, a lot more. And for me, it's probably an A tier. I can't quite put it in S tier because I don't like it as much as these films, but it's definitely above these ones. Yeah, it's a fantastic looking movie. The color palette's great. All the actors are great. Even the two leads, the two kids that it focuses on. I think the boy, he's okay. He's not as good as the girl's performance and the older characters, the adults and everything, but he's okay. But yeah, the sense of adventure and fun, the lightning storm sequence at the end is really cool. Bruce Willis is in this film and he's really great. Bill Murray's fantastic again. You've got Frances McDormand here who's really good. Just visually, again, it's fantastic, and musically it's fantastic. And yeah, I really enjoy the film now. Next, we have my personal favourite, the Grand Budapest Hotel. This is going in the S tier. I think this is just like Wes Anderson's peak kind of film. Like, he does everything right here that we've seen so far and since then as well, but it just kind of fires on all cylinders and hits everything perfectly. Like, the humor's great, the cast is great, the adventure is great, there's not a dull moment. It's got that melancholic feel but without being too sad or too depressing. And it's probably, along with The Life Aquatic, the two funniest films he's made in my opinion. It looks fantastic. It's got a huge cast of characters, but they all serve a purpose and they all actually have something to do, which is unfortunately lacking in his recent films, as I'll get to. But yeah, the Grand Budapest Hotel, if you haven't seen it, it's one of the best, probably possibly my favorite comedy ever made. Like, I think it's really smart and really clever, and just everything about it's perfect pretty much. Especially Ray Fiennes' performance as the lead character. I really hope that Wes Anderson works with him more in the future, because he's really a fantastic actor here, and he's probably my favorite character out of any of his films. He's just really like funny and smart and clever, but cartoonish as well. So yeah, that's a really great movie. Next we have Isle of Dogs. This is the next time Wes Anderson has jumped into animation, like Fantastic Mr. Fox. Though it's not as good, I still really do like the film, and it's at the top of my B tier, I'd say. Possibly like it even more than Royal Tenenbaums, so I'll just chuck it up there for now. yeah, I enjoyed it a lot. It's definitely, as I said, not on the same level as Fantastic Mr. Fox, but it is still a fun time. It's very clever, it's smart, it's funny, it's got his visual style, his unique humor, and some interesting characters, mostly in the form of dogs. But yeah, for the most part, I really enjoy the movie, and I don't really have an issue with it. I just don't think that it's a great film like his other ones above it. But it's definitely a solid film, and I enjoy all these films that are on the B list, by the way. Anyway, so it's still good. So coming down to his last two films, this is where I really think his career has kind of dived or nosedived into the deep end here, because I'm not really a fan of these movies much at all, unfortunately, because yeah, I don't know what happened, but they just they didn't really work for me. So The French Dispatch is probably my least favorite Anderson film, so I'll chuck it in the D tier. I was expecting it to be really good when I saw it, but unfortunately, other than the visuals, nothing really captured my imagination or anything to do with the film. The humor kind of fell flat for me. The characters weren't very memorable, and it focused on a whole bunch of different stories that were mixed together, and none of the stories were that interesting, in my opinion, or memorable. So it was a real shame, because it had the real, obviously aesthetic visual look of an Anderson film with a great cast and everything like that, but just fell flat in every other aspect, unfortunately. So I was really disappointed by that. Again, I can't put it in the F tier because it looks great, and it is nice to watch and look at, but that's all it has going for it, unfortunately. As far as Asteroid City goes, I was super excited for this film. Like, the trailers and everything looked amazing, so I was so excited to see it. And I finally got around to watching it about a week ago, and unfortunately it also let me down. I liked it a bit more than The French Dispatch, so I'm going to put it in the C tier, because it's definitely below these films though, but definitely above the D tier. So it did have that visual style going for it. I really loved the look of this movie. The cast was really great as well. You had a huge cast: Jason Schwartzman and Scarlett Johansson leading, as well as Tom Hanks, which was pretty cool. But the film just didn't live up to that initial hype from the trailers for me. I was a bit confused by the back and forth and all the convoluting plot lines that were behind the actual Asteroid City play itself. I thought were unnecessary and didn't need to be there. But even the main storyline in Asteroid City, like, you think it's going to lead somewhere interesting, or there's going to be this sense of adventure like in The Life Aquatic or something, but there's just not. It's got like dull characters who are pretty much mostly all depressed or guilty, or they just hate life pretty much, and they don't really give you a reason why, other than just saying how miserable they are. They don't show anything to make you feel that way, so you just kind of feel like these characters are all on a downer, and it's a bit like annoying. And so that really bummed me out, because he's really good at showing, in his older films, how characters feel, rather than what he's doing now, especially with his most recent two, just telling you all the time rather than showing. So I was a bit disappointed by that movie, although it did look great and it had some funny moments, but overall it was disappointing. So yeah, that's all of Wes Anderson's films so far, guys. I know he's got a short film, or like a half-hour short, coming out on Netflix later this year, which I'm pretty keen for as well, but these are his feature films as of now anyway. And I actually own all of these on Blu-ray besides French Dispatch and Asteroid City. So overall, he's a very good director with a lot of great films. But yeah, I just hope he can, in future films, bring back that kind of heart and humor and emotion that is in all of his other films, pretty much, besides his last two. So that would be cool. So yeah, please check out these films in the top rows if you haven't seen them yet. Especially, I know people rubbish The Life Aquatic a lot, but I think it's a great movie, so check it out if you haven't seen it. And let me know your lists in the comments below, and please subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.